Hi, I'm Sasha Moore, and I'm here with the fabulous Joanna James, who is the Chief Development Officer at the FBAA and also heads the Artemis Space. Welcome, Jo.
Thank you, Sasha. It's lovely to be here.
Great to speak to you again. Over the years, we've talked about a multitude of different topics. And today I wanted to interview you about authenticity as part of the lead up to the Power of Authenticity webinar that we're hosting on the 18th of October. And as I was just saying to Jo offline, I've known you probably at least 5 or 6 years now. And the thing that I always loved about you is how genuine, how authentic, and how comfortable and confident you've always appeared to me in your own skin. And there's obviously a pathway to get to that point and value sets and so on and so forth. And because you actively own your individuality and authenticity, I wanted to more pick your brains about perhaps your younger self and when you may not have felt as confident in your own skin. So I wanted to pose you that perfect retrospective question to the younger Joanna at 20 years old, or however old you were when you first entered the workforce, or perhaps you'd been in the workforce for a few years, when you started to feel the cracks, when you started to feel the head noise of society or family or role-based or other, how you would respond today to that Joanna to feel confident in her authenticity and have the courage to act with the conviction that you now have.
Okay. So what's really curious as we do that introduction is first of all, that idea that people who present as being confident feel confident at the time, because often they don't. And if I look back, I always had a lot of sort of gumption and get up and go, and I was always really passionate and put myself out there. But there were so many moments that I was just totally freaked out inside. I had no idea what I was doing. I felt like I was out of my depth. I was, typically young. I was often like the only woman in the setting when I was doing work. And so, even though I presented as confident, because I kind of learnt those skills and I felt that I had to, I didn't always feel that way inside. And I guess, if I look back, that journey towards authenticity is really closing that gap. That's when you know that you feel really true to yourself, when you can actually present as how you feel that you are. But the other thing that I would say around all of that is it's a moving target, right? So particularly the last couple of years, I've really come to realize it's more important to know who you are than what you do, because who you are is always going to come through everything that you do, is just knowing who you are. And that's a lifelong journey. So, authenticity in your 20s is still going to have the same components that authenticity has now in my 50s, where I'm still on that lifelong journey of who am I, what matters to me, what do I really want to do. I've just had a bit more experience and skills along the way. So the core essence, if I was to give advice back to myself, is it's okay. Whatever it is that you're going through in that moment, you're discovering who you are in this lifetime, and that journey is never going to change. So it's the judgments about it that I think really get in the way and stop us from feeling that everything is okay, when the reality is everything's unfolding as it should be. Some things are going to go well, some things are going to be a mess. Everybody's going to have a different perception of you. But at the end of the day, the only perception that's really true is the one that we have of ourselves. And that's the only thing we can control, is how we think and feel about ourselves. Everything else is outside of our control. And of course, we want it, we yearn it, we want to feel accepted, we want to be, admired and encouraged, and all of these things that we seek from other people. But the reality is ultimately we have to get it from ourselves. And that journey really doesn't change much throughout life. So my advice to my younger self would be, just relax. It's okay. You've got this. whatever you don't have today, you'll figure out tomorrow. And, you know, just keep coming back to that quintessential commitment to just be true to yourself, and that's going to change. That's going to change over time. So don't put too much pressure on yourself, because what's right for you today might not be what you need tomorrow.
No, indeed. And I 100% agree that it is a moving target. In that journey, did you ever feel the pressure or expectation of your environment to act or be in a way that didn't stack up to you, that you couldn't quite put your finger on? And maybe if you can sort of talk through that and then how you course corrected it, because for me, that feeling of uncomfortability, not in a good way, I'm all about embracing uncomfortable, but being in situations where you just feel like you're the black sheep, that for me is my indication that I'm not in an environment that I'm flourishing as my authentic self. And it's usually because I'm trying to fit the mold that I'm determining that is being set out for me as the measure of success in that particular context.
Yes. So I'm the eldest child in my family and the eldest grandchild. So for me, honestly, as I was growing up, I felt like I was the child that was supposed to live out everybody in the family's destiny. Right? So how did I adapt to that? Well, I was a classic overachiever, so I just wanted to please everybody. You know, I wanted to be the person that my grandfather wanted me to be, and my mum wanted me to be, and my dad wanted to be, and that was amazing in a lot of ways, because it gave me a huge dexterity, but it also was pretty exhausting and pretty difficult, to constantly be trying to be that person that was going to please everybody, right? So I think I had that conflict really early on, and it was only because I just loved everybody in my family so much that, you know, I wanted to please them. And also I felt this kind of beacon of, she's the eldest, you know, she's got to be the leader in the family, you know, that responsibility to kind of carry on that legacy and do all of those things. So, you know, classic example of that was, you know, my grandfather was a surgeon. So I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And when I was 18, I had major surgery, and I realized I could never be a doctor. I could never be a surgeon. This is not for me. In fact, I remember ringing my dad saying, get me out of this hospital now, come pick me up. And that was really the first time that I realized, whoa, hold on, I really need to work out who I am and what do I want to do. So being a black sheep, um, I felt like that often. Even within the finance industry, you know, like I lived in Byron Bay for years. I'm a bit of a hippie, you know, like that. I love going to markets and, you know, like doing crafty things, and that didn't necessarily fit with the businesswoman in a suit. And, you know, for many years, I felt like I had to keep that part of me private and very separate to who I am professionally. And then over time, I realized that, you know, one of the things I love to do is just talk to people. And so when you are sharing genuine conversations, I realized that actually that's what people want. They actually want that connection. And so now who I am in my personal life is who I am in my professional life. They're a lot more integrated. But, you know, in the beginning part of my career, because often I felt that I had to overcompensate, I often felt that I had to hide away who I was, or these other parts of me, or you know, spending time talking with people about their families, you know, and asking about their kids and things like that, that at the time didn't seem to be professional, you know, within the realm of what you were supposed to be doing. So I think society and professions have shifted a lot, but I definitely used to feel that division. And that black sheep was really more, it was actually a division within me. And I would often feel, well, you know one part of me, but you actually don't know the rest of me. And I think it does take a bit of a courageous journey when you're willing to go, hey, this is me, like it or leave it, take me as I am. So yes, definitely over the years, I've experienced all of that. What would I say to my younger self about that? You know, I'd probably just say, hey, you're a gorgeous young woman, just be yourself. Don't worry about it. You know, like just some people are going to like you, some people are going to love you, and some people are going to hate you. And there's nothing you can do about that. So the most important thing is how you are with yourself, and just stick to that.
I love that, and I do think for the better, societally and definitely professionally, we have shifted to much more of an era of being embracing and accepting individuality. And one of the things, and we were just talking earlier, I was speaking with Imogen and your team this morning, who's quite young, and it was so beautiful just to hear her actively embracing her quirkiness and embracing her individuality from such a young age, and also to be in an environment that really supports that. So my outtake from this is, yes, it's definitely a moving feast. And I think for me, my metric of authenticity is when I feel like you're in the flow, like things are just moving at a very organic and natural but positive pace with momentum, opposed to just those jars. Those jars for me, where I sort of feel like I'm in a situation that I need to change my perspective or my environment or other to then flourish, opposed to be caged. So as always, Jo, I love speaking to you, and I will look forward to seeing you on the 18th.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see the session, Sasha. And, you know, when we're talking about authenticity, I mean, how authentic are you to put on this series and to have these conversations? And so, you know, I just want to take a moment and acknowledge you for,
Oh, thanks,
bringing
Jo.
content forth. So well done, and look forward to the session on the 18th.
Amazing. Thanks. I appreciate it. Bye.